But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. This is the the first pod of 2025. We have a lot to recap here. Let's see. Oh, we've got the notifications going on all formats that the pod is live. We may have more join us. I'm joined right now by the Lippy, and I guess maybe it was the pain of how the season ended for me. I haven't really wanted to recap how Apex ended. Uh, but obviously I think it would be incorrect to not start by giving congratulations to a dominant championship run won by Hunter McClendon. I think hats have to go off to him. I think any way you slice it, I think he's a worthy champion and led the year all year and never gave up control. Um, so I think he definitely deserves props there. Jonah,
There's not really much. There's really just say when it comes down to it, Alexander. You put up a hell of a battle in the semis, and I think it would hurt a lot more if you would have outscored Hunter in the championship, technically.
yeah,
But because you didn't, it just kind of makes it feel. It was a very chalky playoffs at the end of the day, even with your explosion of 130.
yeah, yeah. I mean, technically, after Jonah, then it comes down to Curran winning the third place game that only he and he alone cares about. Um, my God, did that just make his day? Uh, but yeah, hats off to Hunter winning the last year of keepers at Apex. Jonah finishing second. Congrats to them on very good seasons. Um, and yeah, we look forward to a new year with no keepers, a completely clean slate. Um, oh my
I think
goodness.
that's the big question here, Mr. Alexander. How do you feel that having no keepers will affect this auction draft coming up?
Um, yeah, so that's I'm really excited for it because I really think I don't know. I think it's going to be really good for Apex. For the one reason
I
being
think there's
is
going
that
to be.
here's the thing. No one's no one's leaving the draft thinking, "Oh, well this draft sucked for me because I didn't have a keeper." If this draft sucks for you, it's cuz you drafted like an asshole. And so I really like that. I really like that if like there's no bitterness going like, "Oh, well, uh, you know, the Jonah's got such a good team because of X keeper, or Golly's got such a good team because of Z keeper. It's just damn, fucking Golly had a good draft. That's what I'm really excited about. I'm really excited about getting rid of keepers and it just being a draft and just saying, hey,
Well, so that's
this
it's
is
going to
what
be
we're
very
doing.
interesting, especially with the auction thrown in there. It's gonna you got to add in the fact that we haven't really had a pure auction draft without keepers affecting it in forever. So, I mean, granted, to start the season, we had a pod and we talked about how I had one of the worst three teams in the league.
Yeah,
So, things obviously can change,
yeah.
as the current likes to say. Tate, it's lovely to have you in here, sir.
Oh my
Wish
goodness.
I could say the same about being here with you, Lippy.
Oh my goodness. So Tate, first of all,
Oh,
it's
it's fantastic to have you here,
it's an
Tate.
exquisite pleasure to have you join us on the pod, sir. We were just discussing, um, and I'm not sure how much exposure you have to auction formats, but we were just talking about how for Apex, our main redraft league, we this was our last year of keepers. It's Gonzo. And so from this point on, our auction draft will just be a completely clean slate, and there won't be any keepers of any kind. No draft, no pre-draft trading or anything like that. Because that's another thing that I think I speak for me, and I know other people did not like how it's like, oh well, like just the moaning and droning of going into a draft. Oh well, X player is going to have such a good draft because he ripped off Y player and got so many more draft dollars, and then you add in the keepers onto that. I don't know. Maybe I'm making more of it than I should, but I'm just very
Well, so
excited
I
to
feel
have
like
that aspect
the
gone.
biggest zag we're gonna have. You had Hunter, who had the most successful team, I think, by a landslide. Everyone would say,
Right.
and he went into the draft saying he was not going to spend more than 35. I think was what he told me his strategy was, or whatever, 40 on any singular player, and he was just going to wait. You're going to have 4 or 5 or 6 guys do that this year, which might just skew it the other way to where all these guys are waiting and they're going to spend 30 draft bucks on some whole heaping piles of shit.
So let me look at the draft from last year, and
I mean,
go ahead.
I'll just say I'm happy that y'all are doing away with keepers, just so I don't have to listen to Lippy's warped brain try to figure out if he should keep AJ Brown for pennies or maybe Mahomes or whoever. Just going through this debate internally when he texts me and Andy, only to decide on his own before anyone has a chance to reply. Oh, it does actually make sense to keep all these people because it would be absurd to do otherwise. It really is, Lippy, a pleasure to watch your brain work. I just want to let you know that.
Yeah, no, it's a
We'll
unique,
see.
it's a
The
unique
secret is
thing.
Tate, and Alexander knows this as my co-manager in a few leagues. There is no actual process besides just letting our brain think,
Oh,
and
it's
that usually ends up very questionably.
I've had to quickly adapt to the method of vibes, um, and I think it's good. It's let me grow in fantasy in ways that I would not have the ability to if I did not have the pleasure of being Lippy's co-manager in these leagues, because
You,
it's like the diversity of the melting pot, right? Like we learn a whole bunch of different things when we do things a lot of different ways, right? That's what it is.
you can be honest in here. You don't have to do that. I mean, I'm a co-manager on the team with Lippy, so I know
It's
what
so
that
scary.
what that's
It's
like.
so scary all the
Yeah,
time.
you don't have to. There you go. Just let it out.
I
Just
mean,
let it out.
and I trust in the commander, but it's just you're just always that Key and Peele meme of like the sweat dripping off of the guy. You're just like, oh my god, what's happening? And then most of the time it works out, but you know you never know.
Does it most of the time work out?
Well,
Can we say definitively that most of the time it works out?
um,
So
well,
we ended up with a dominant, otherworldly D-Gen championship roster this year.
yeah,
Some would say.
And how about any of the other leagues?
Well, we're in a place.
yeah.
Or
I've got to figure out because I traded you back Josh Jacobs for a first and a second in Fuckfest Lippy. I've got to figure out. I've got to go get another running back now for a first, um, because I think I think I'm starting Amir Abdullah
I hear
as RB2.
that's
So
I hear
disgusting.
Brian
Wouldn't be
Robinson's
me.
available.
I mean I like Brian Robinson. Um,
Do you? Does anyone?
I,
Wow.
I think
And we
Brian
have Andy's
Robinson's kind of
presence. This is
cool.
lovely.
Oh,
He's,
and
he's probably a
Mr.
good guy.
Waters. Oh my goodness, what a treat.
Stuart Little porn.
Well,
This
if
is
we if
not
we if
audio search, Andy.
if we were if we were able to get
Siri,
monetized.
search Stuart Little porn.
This is getting taken down by YouTube immediately.
So we have to have. I've actually had a lot of back and forth with YouTube because we've had stuff just like auto flag their stuff so many times, and they've basically like told me at this point like we're fine because we don't have the 1,000 subs you need to get monetized, but like they're like normal like stuff they have that just auto flags is like so troublesome. It really slows everything down. They really don't want you doing things like jumping into videos with people searching for Stuart Little porn. Apparently, that's a big no-no.
So what you're saying is we're 997 subs away from possibly them caring.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, no, I think we've got like 12 subs the last time I
Ooh.
checked. Yeah, yeah. And those are all people that have appeared on videos. So we'll really have to expand our guest based before we get to 1,000. So
That's the cheat code. You just have 1,000 guests, and
yeah,
then you get
yeah,
1,000
yeah.
subscribers.
But yeah, I mean that's the big brain way to do it. So Andy, we were just discussing the Apex Coalition League and how we were removing keepers. Lippy and I were just thinking and musing about what this will mean for drafts going forward, where we have like a completely clean board. And just looking at this board, I'm trying to share my screen on Discord right now, but I mean, some of these guys would have made for just some outstanding keepers. Like I met Jane Daniels for $5. Woo wee. But that's no longer the case. What is the case now is that it's completely free reign, and everyone will be starting with the same and no keepers. So, I mean, I think that just thinking about the year as a whole, this was like kind of a return of the running back, is really kind of what it seemed like to me. Like, of how important the running back is, or at least narratively. Maybe that's not true. What do you guys think? I think this will have a big swing next year on where kind of players are going redraft wise in terms of running backs in the first round.
I don't know if it'll get all the way back to that, but I do think you'll see like one or two more. Like I think they'll all be, propped up a little bit more.
Okay.
But I don't think it'll be, because I just don't think it's ever going to get back to where it was. Like you're just never going to see, like there's not going to be the bell cow running back on every team anymore. Like I just think that that's kind of done, and so because of that, it's never gonna get to where you're taking 4 or 5 running backs in the first or anything like that. But I mean I think that the talent level of the top guys, I think, will lead to them going a little bit higher than they otherwise would.
Well, just by looking at what I just sent you, Alexander, you've essentially 50% of the top 18 picks. 10 of the top 20 are running backs again, based on good old-fashioned Mike Clay, who's very trustworthy, obviously.
So I'm clicking on this now. What exactly?
It's just a way too early 2025 rankings.
Okay.
It's interesting.
So we've got.
I mean, obviously Andy hates redraft.
I think
Andy also dropped out because he can't take running back discourse.
Yeah, he was so unhappy he left.
Wow.
Maybe he'll join us again soon, but
he found Stuart Little.
I guess I'm glad he left the call if that's true.
Well, you can just stop me when you hear a name you don't like. Tate. You got Jamar, you got Bijan, you got Jefferson, Saquon, Gibbs, Amon-Ra, Puka, CD. I don't love CD at 8. But then you go Neighbors at 9, Nico at 10.
You like Puka that high?
I mean, I love Puka.
I like Puka that high.
If Stafford's back, I have no issue with Puka there. I wouldn't want that pick.
Yeah.
But then you go Brian Thomas and AJ Brown to round out the top 12. I wouldn't want Brian Thomas at 11. And then you go Brees, JT, Achan, Jacobs, CMC, Bucky to start the second round.
Let me ask you a question. So we saw, we've seen the past couple of years these rookies sneak up higher and higher and higher into drafts. Let me ask you a question. One name that I was looking for and didn't see there was Genty, Lippy. Where do you think he goes? Let's say he gets drafted to the Cowboys.
Well, so I don't think he has any rookies in this at all.
Okay.
At the risk of setting myself up to get dunked on repeatedly in the future, I'm probably going to come out lower on Genty than most.
Okay.
It's just
I know.
It's very tough to see where he returns the value of what people will take him at in Dynasty.
Yeah.
Because you're drafting. I mean, he's going back into the second and Dynasty. That's kind of bananas. I
don't. And this is getting way over my skis on this, but I just don't think. I don't see him as being a super dynamic game changer at the next level. Like, I just don't
So,
see that. Like,
the
I think
issue is,
Bijan and people like that are leagues ahead as prospects of what he is.
so Tate, but my issue is just looking at the running back list, and for sake of argument's sake, we're going to say Cincinnati doesn't bring in anyone of note. I would just barring anything, I think I would still take Bijan, Saquon, Gibbs, Brees, JT, HN, Jacobs, CMC, Bucky, depends, but maybe. Kyron, James Cook, and Chase Brown all over Genty. So that puts him all the way down at RB13 at the ceiling for next year. To me.
Yeah, I don't think that's crazy.
I think that's a really measured take. I think you're gonna have people that are really excited and like that he's gonna be going in like the middle of the second round. And he
Yeah,
might
he is.
Why wouldn't you just be as excited about James Cook though, or Kyron, or Chase Brown? I understand, but the man was like the RB5 to end for the last 10 weeks or whatever.
I would
They don't bring any competition. That's
if
crazy.
he goes to Dallas, I would take Genty over James Cook. James Cook had how many rushing touchdowns this year?
16.
Yeah, I mean, call me a
Joe Brady's back though. They just want to run the ball. I mean, but I wouldn't hate that. But I mean, you're bumping them up maybe 1 or 2 spots. So that's RB10 or 11.
Yeah.
There's no. I don't see how Genty cracks into that top 5 or 6 or 7 range that you'd have Bijan as a rookie, or Saquon, or these generational type talents. But you'd expect him to transcend that.
And so I was thinking from it like a just rookie hype sensation situation, but I think probably Marvin Harrison cooled everyone's fucking jets on taking rookies early. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not sure. I think it could slide either way. If we get a whole bunch of glowing camp reports and preseasons of him ripping off 70-yarders,
but at the end of the day, we're talking a 1-2 turn guy in Marv this last year. Hindsight very high. But you're telling me out of the group of Brian Thomas, Brees Hall, Achan, JT, CMC, CD, Malik, Neighbor. I mean, you're telling me some of those guys aren't going to bust next year? I think some of those guys bust next year. It's not crazy to think that.
I think that's a little. The CMC pick would scare me to death.
Yeah, that's what I was. I was gonna kind of push back on James Cook and CMC.
But neighbors in the first round, back of the first round, and just a snake. I'd be petrified.
Kind of the real deal.
Yeah, I kind of think he might be legit. I mean, he did what he did this year with absolutely nothing at the quarterback spot.
That's the same thing that kind of reinforces my belief in Brian Thomas. He's doing it with Macaroni Jones.
I don't know. When I get someone in the first round, I want them to be an utter stud. I could see it more with Neighbors than Brian Thomas.
That kind of proves to me that they are a stud. They've got, DeVito and co. throwing him the ball. They've got Macaroni Jones and co. throwing him the ball. Like, I think those two guys really kind of separated themselves. I mean, Marvin Harrison's playing catch-up now, as far as I'm concerned. Neighbors and Brian Thomas, they're the studs of that class right now.
Speaking of DeVito, welcome back, Andy.
That was a quickie with old Stuart Little, so...
I venture to guess it's always a quickie for Andy, but no, I'm not one to judge.
Where do you guys think?
Good to be back. Yeah, good to be here for the first time tonight. Just sorry for being late. The office. I was at the office.
That happens. We were just having a discussion about where we think Genty is going to go. Would love your input as well. We kind of transitioned into thinking like he's going to slide a little bit further than the second, or is he going to end up in the mid-second? Curious as to what you think.
In the real draft?
No. This was just like a redraft ADP kind of thoughts, and just and Dynasty as well.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, I would think in redraft he'll be going at the turn. Like you'll have to take him at 11 or 12 if that's where you're picking. If you want him, I think he's going to get offseason he's going to get puff pieces about how, Zeke was an RB1 his rookie year, and Saquon was the RB1 overall his rookie year, and look at what Saquon just did, and all that stuff.
That's much closer to what I was thinking too. These two gentlemen have a much more pessimistic view of things.
Well, they think he sucks.
No,
it's not about thinking Saquon. He sucks.
He's not Saquon.
You're really going to take Genty over Jonathan Taylor next year?
I would.
It would be landing spot dependent, but yeah, I probably would. And I'm not even saying that I'm the most bullish Genty drafter. I'm just saying people will be bullish. I mean, think about it. Like, we had a crazy loaded crop of top RB1 finishes this year, historically speaking. But those guys are all getting a year older, and they were already old to begin with. And people just overthink this stuff, and they think, oh, Derrick Henry can't possibly do it again at age 31. Why risk it with him when this Genty kid just did 2,500 scrimmage yards, and every analyst that I casually follow is comparing him to Saquon and Zeke? Makes sense, And then if he's on the Cowboys, I mean, forget about it. That alone will get his ADP in the first round.
He's on.
You want him then, Lucky? Is that what you're saying? I think it'd be funny. Or are you just like resigned to it?
Just the way Chicago sports radio talked after Johnson, given what he did with Gibbs, etc. I don't think it'd be shocking for them to pick Genty, and I feel like some of the pundits here think so too.
Whoa! Wait! You're kind of cutting in and out there real quick. You're saying Chicago's taking this man?
That's what the sports radio talk is, sir.
Wow.
My Roshan stonks are not feeling great, if that's the case. And they were feeling really good before
Would you trade Roshan for Mixon right now, straight up?
Yep.
No, you'd have to be stupid.
Wait. Am I giving up Roshan, or am I giving up Mixon?
Whoever side you prefer.
You have to prefer the Mixon side.
Oh, I'm taking Roshan.
Roshan is useless. He's garbage.
I have it on good authority that the Bears will not be drafting a running back this year, which makes him very valuable in a Ben Johnson offense.
I just heard
basically Jahmyr Gibbs.
Sports Radio, they're taking Ashton Genty.
Yeah, that's my authority on why they're not.
Oh, that's. I've got to be. I don't know. That'd be really interesting. I haven't heard anything like that, but I'm not plugged into Chicago Sports Radio, Lippy. That's peculiar.
Yeah, I'd like to go on record just saying
I'm just saying
your GM will be fired by 2026. Like before 2026, your GM will be fired if you take Genty. No ifs, ands, or buts. Paul's will be gone.
I'd like to go on record and say that he's going to be fired in 2026 regardless.
No. I said bye. I said before. So, he will be fired.
You don't think Paul's makes it through the year? Wow.
No.
If he drafts Genty, I think that would be the most ridiculous asset mismanagement case we've seen in quite some time.
That would not really help the offensive line for Chicago.
Astute observation, ANF, as always.
Well, now hang on. Genty can block a little bit. Let's not rule it out.
Kind of alter between running back and guard kind of situation? Like he would split snaps? That could be interesting.
He does have a low center of gravity, so...
Yeah, look at that. By the way, if there are any good guards...
Alexander...
I should talk to Nick Casario. What was that, Lippy?
Why don't you take us through some other playoffs that happened, like Fuckfest, and I don't know, maybe D-Gen 2 while you're at it?
Well,
since you got us on the stream,
let's see what I could do here. So, let's go over
Theory, Stuart Little.
Wait, so why isn't it
showing? The Fuckfest playoffs didn't even work out well for you, Lippy. But I guess in the interest of just full transparency,
Well,
we
I
can
mean,
go through it.
as the 5 seed, we can't always win, sir. Not everyone can be the
So
worst team in the league. Like,
I'm kind of a self-appointed hater. Um, I was so happy with the Fuckfest playoffs, just because Andy and Curran lost in the first round. So really,
wow.
I was just super happy for Brotherman or Jay Polly to win because it meant those two weren't. So big congrats um, to the Brotherman victory. Jay Polly was, as always, a fine contender, but Curran and Waters teams they couldn't cut the mustard. So we love to see that. Because that way I just got to enjoy that championship between two high quality teams. And then Andy torched Curran in the third place game like it was nobody's business.
That is Curran's Super Bowl. Curran loves third place games.
Yeah. Yeah, that's his like biggest game of the year, Andy. So like you really ruined that for him. He loves the third place game.
He'd be talking about beating you in a third place for the rest of your life.
So now
Oh, that sounds miserable. I don't know anyone like that.
um
Wow,
we,
that
we
must
will
be terrible.
we will real
Must
quickly
be awful.
go here to the DGen playoffs now. I have the
Where's Tate?
I have the I have the pleasure of serving as
Wait,
co-manager.
no. Tate's on you. This can't be DGen.
Let's
He was
get it over
tanking
with.
in DGen.
Let's just get it all out.
He just, I mean, I remember like in the playoffs, he was selling off assets like a like Bible trying to cross the Atlantic Ocean.
That was
Listen,
that
Well,
was
please,
I've
I mean,
said it
if he had Chuba's 30 points, totally wouldn't have made a difference.
I've said it once. I'll say it again on the record. If I had thought about the repercussions that my move would have beyond just my matchup, which I did not think it would have any, and it would not have mattered for my matchup. But if I had known that I would be subjected to notifications of Lippy renaming players' names to champ repeatedly and everything else just because of the move I made, I would anti make that move.
yeah.
If given a
Well,
time machine, I would go back
did
and
you then
fix
also make
only
another
that.
trade? Didn't you make
But-
another trade and quote to hopefully help Hippo beat Lippy in the championship as well?
Yes, but again, that's I tried to stop a stone rolling down the hill at that point.
That's
This
understandable.
is
That's understandable.
if given a time machine, I just want to be clear on this. The only thing I would go back and fix would be making these moves.
I mean, there's a lot of time if you have a time machine. So, like, that's a pretty focused approach. You could probably get that done. If you left it too open-ended, you could get distracted, and then you might not accomplish anything. So,
See,
No,
and
I would return it after that. I would do that, and then I would just give the time machine back. I wouldn't need it anymore.
you know what's really sad, Alexander?
what's
Time
that?
machine
I
of
were- you-
Cincinnatus.
You and I were talking about how great Andy and Tate's teams were and how we'd just be so thankful to have a chance to beat them. And then you just beat them and it just doesn't hit the same because you realize their teams suck.
I mean,
Tate overthought himself, and I mean, now he's talking about his biggest regret in life is to go back and not trade Chuba. The shame what a
No,
matchup.
just to be clear, that's not even close to my biggest regret in life, but it's the only thing I would go back and fix.
right.
Naturally.
I mean, hey, fantastic.
No,
fantastic
Tate's
season.
that's not even Tate's greatest regret of his Chuba trades.
That's
Let's not
true.
forget.
That's true.
How did I don't know how did Tate have Chuba in the first place, Alexander? Who did he give up?
Let's
Yeah, I feel like you got to
I'll-
explain to the listeners.
I'll go on the record on this as well. If somehow Chuba makes his way back to my team at any point, he's retiring on my team. I will never trade him again.
let's see if we can
It only
find,
leads to bad things.
see if we can find a player history for old Chubba Hubbard. Okay. We
Oh, good. We
goes
found
back
it.
to all the way back in 2021. Drafted at the 1404 in the startup.
Pretty good value.
Oh my god.
Wait, Chuba for Hunter Henry. Oh,
I mean,
you got him
run
back
for
just for Hunter Henry.
1,800 yards at Oklahoma State.
Wow.
Chuba Hubbard is acquired along with the 3rd round pick for the, at the time, recently sent to the Jets Aaron Rodgers and a lowly receiver named Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Sir, that's Amari Rodgers, actually.
It's Amari Rodgers? Not
I
Aaron
believe
Rodgers?
so.
Correct. It was the better of the A. Rodgers.
Wow.
On the Packers.
Wow. Look at that. And then there's another. Wait, what the fuck is this? Chuba and CMC for Davis Mills at 2 firsts.
I'm looking
That
back
was
at
a-
these picks now.
that was
It
a
was
rookie deal.
Tarlos 22 first. So that's he got Brees Hall on that deal, and then
Pretty
he
good
got
center thing.
technically, and it would have been Rome. So Brees and Rome were the 2 picks.
And Davis Mills.
You can't forget Davis Mills.
And
Chuba for Hunter Henry. I mean, Hunter Henry is a champ now, so
Davis Mills won a game this year. So, and then that's just the Jonathan Brooks part is what really confuses me. That's the part that I don't understand.
how did you talk him into you getting Brooks back?
How did I?
Yes.
That was pretty easy. He was hurt.
Well, why?
So-
My question is, why would you want Brooks? I kind
I
of
like Brooks a lot.
really. I'm kind
Yeah.
of a hater, and I so much of that is like not his fault. Like it's like he didn't say, "Oh boy, I want to get injured a whole bunch." I'm not trying to hold that against him, but unfortunately, it's just true. But
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I kind of just took Brooks back as like a flyer in it. My feeling is he very well at this point, after having 2 pretty significant injuries, like he may not play ever. I've kind of accepted that fate, but I just took the shot in case he does.
yeah,
Because
I remember
Fuck
people said
Andy.
that about Cam Akers before.
Yeah, and fuck Andy, that too. That was a
That
big
was
part
the
of it.
main part, I think.
That was the main part of
honestly.
it, a subconscious part, admittedly. But once I, went to therapy and really talked it out, I think that
It was only
actually
subconscious
the main
because you were
motivator.
too high for me screaming at you to register as conscious.
To be clear, you were not screaming in that way. It was very much so a
Just all caps text.
non-committal
You're right.
approach. It was a non-committal approach on your part. And it was
Non-committal
it
in the sense that I wasn't one of the parties making the decision of
was,
whether to
and
do
you
the
took
deal or not.
longer than I was wanting to wait for your thoughts. So I had to make a move.
Make or miss league, Tate.
Exactly.
you know whose team is fun to look at is Bevo's Fuckfest team.
Why is it
It's
so
an
terrible?
interesting team.
It's very interesting. I mean, what the fuck is this? What is this?
How many firsts does he have, sir? Go to his picks.
He has 2 this year.
Not as many as he should for a team
And
being that bad.
how many next year?
He has 4 next year.
And that's it. So he has
And then
essentially-
1 in 27.
wow. I think he's really hoping to trade the 101 for like 3 firsts, and I don't know who's going to possibly give up that many picks for it.
Nobody.
So
No, I
that's-
don't. I don't think anyone has 3 firsts to
Yeah.
do that. Like the people who do aren't going to do it.
It's me and King Who, and we're not going to do
Right.
it.
So that leads me to my question: Is Genty the 101 in Superflex drafts? Because he
The-
almost certainly is a non-Superflex.
Well, he's
In a
definitely
normal
one in Superflex.
I don't. How can Jack take Genty 101? Actually, if Jack doesn't trade the pick, how does he go Genty 101 with that team?
I mean, oh no, I'm
I
not
mean, I'd
talking.
rather
I'm
have
not.
Genty than a bad quarterback.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
care how bad my team is.
Because yeah, I mean, I think you have to go Genty even if your team is. I'm not trying to be rude, Jack, but as bad as that one. Um, I mean, I don't know how you don't pick him. I mean, unless the draft is just unbelievably foul to him. Um, but yeah, because
Lippy, where are you going with your picks?
That's a great question, sir. Can you, what picks do we have here, Alexander?
I'm scrolling. You've got the 102, the 109, the 17, and the 112, and the 105. Excuse me.
That's
So
a great job by Sleeper to organize those
yeah,
picks.
so the 2, 5, 7, 9, 12.
We will get 3 running backs, a receiver, and a tight end. Okay, maybe go 2-1-1-1. We're definitely getting Warren though with one of those picks. That's
He's
the
so
real.
cool. He's really cool.
Who? Warren?
Yeah, Penn State
Yeah,
tight
he's
end.
pretty good.
Getting Warren's was going to be nice with the 5 or the 7, and then from there just kind of go off vibes. I don't know if we actually go Tet 102. Probably will be go quarterback since he'll give me the choice of whatever quarterback I want.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty weak at quarterback after shipping off literally every single one that you drafted last year.
I mean, I still have JJ McCarthy.
True. And
Oh, that's
Derek
right.
Carr.
I forgot the one that's hurt.
He has Derek Carr and Joe Flacco.
And Rico Gobbles there on the bench.
Well, he is not a quarterback, to my knowledge.
He might be.
There's Rico. Look at him with his gobbles. I just couldn't not trade. Like
Hell of a history there.
Really talk about the guy who's look at all these trades he's been in. Wow, what a tough pick.
Wait, did you take him at 112 in the startup?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And then later that year,
Hawk. I mean, that's honestly turned out pretty nicely for Tate.
And then so last year,
Tate's first.
What a little fun back and forth we've had with him. But yeah. So real quick, I guess one thing I do want to get out of everybody is any postseason takes, laments about the Packers that you have to share, Lippy. Any thoughts about the NFC moving forward, and who y'all got in the Super Bowl?
Eagles. No thoughts on the Packers, just Eagles.
I just want the Eagles to win. That's all I want. I don't know who should or probably will. I just want the Eagles to win. That's all.
I mean, Andy's obviously a huge Eagles fan.
Massive.
So he obviously wants the Eagles. Tate, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. A part of me would kind of like to see the Chiefs only because it would, in some sense, get them closer to the Patriots status, and the Patriots fans having to reckon with that is just kind of funny to me. But all total, I think I'd want the Eagles, even though I think their fans, Andy included, are pretty insufferable.
Eagles fans do.
I love the implication that I am one of the less insufferable Eagles fans.
I did not make that implication.
You said including Andy.
Yes, because I think there are some people under the misconception that you're a Titans fan.
Oh, yeah, that's fair, actually. Yeah.
Lippy, do you think the Packers Super Bowl window is closed? Because I think probably, right?
It's um,
Or I
it's
guess if
interesting.
was it
I
ever
think
open? Probably not.
it'll be interesting what happens with the Lions losing both Glenn and Johnson. The Vikings might be really good again. If the issue is Bears are the Bears, who cares? The issue is it's a tough spot. I can't help but there was some tweet I saw that AFCs where gods go to play quarterback and the NFCs where godly teams just get someone to play quarterback. And can't help but think about that all the time now. And
What?
The AFCs where gods go to play quarterback, and the NFCs where godly teams get someone to play quarterback. At the end of the day, the NFC just
Who said that?
somebody somewhere.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. What?
Absolutely great. Honestly, wow, what a great draft.
Aaron Rodgers? Matthew Stafford? What? That's
Aaron
that's
Rodgers
just your
is in
division.
the
I mean,
Yeah,
Jalen
what are you talking?
Jalen Hurts has been to more Super Bowls than Aaron Rodgers. So
He literally has not. He literally has not.
Jalen Hurts has been
That is not accurate.
Jalen Hurts has been to 2. Rodgers 1. What?
No, Jalen Hurts has been to 1.
Okay, Andy.
What? I didn't realize Super Bowl 59 was played already. It was crazy.
Are you predicting some type of Ebola outbreak?
Yeah,
in the
what
Eagles
what is
void?
what is this?
I mean, listen.
What do you
Every day is a
mean?
new frontier in this administration. Okay,
You're
so
crazy.
anything could happen.
I mean, maybe the color green is made illegal. Who knows?
Kelly Green.
Um, I mean,
It's tough to be optimistic about the Packers right now. Well, the tone will obviously change once we get a few weeks into next year. Hopefully. Alexander obviously thinks the Texans are winning the Super Bowl next year. I don't know if you guys have heard.
that is correct.
Well, now that you
I-
have a chance to get a good offensive coordinator in there, maybe you have a shot, Alexander.
I like. I've never ever felt this way about the Texans, but it is a win, not an if. I have never felt this way, but it is just true. This guy is too good, y'all. He will not be denied. I
Who?
the Lord our God. He wears number 7. I don't know if you've heard of him. But he is going to win a Super Bowl. I just don't know when it's going to happen. And I'm gonna keep on saying it's gonna happen this year. So
The CJ Stroud, that's who we're talking about?
that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know you were still in on him.
I mean,
He thinks they're winning it all next year.
I've never been out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't know.
Yeah. No,
It's news to me.
no.
I'm happy to hear it. It's a very disheartening thing to lose faith in your betrothed.
Yeah, I promise you that's not going to be an issue for me.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm really glad to hear that.
Yeah.
How did
Because
you
it's
feel
going to
about
get tough.
Lippy shipping him out in every fantasy league you were in with him then?
Now, I mean, to be very clear, I've said
Please
this.
do be very clear.
I've said this to Lippy, Jack, and Kern. I don't know how many times. Like, I don't care about his fantasy performance. I'll go on record and tell anybody I think he's the best quarterback in the NFL. I don't care what that means for fantasy.
Oh,
Oh boy.
And
you actually think he's the best in the NFL?
yeah, I do. I really, really do. With possible 2 exceptions.
I would hope so.
Possible.
Go on.
And it's Lamar and Joe. Those are the only 2. Those are the only.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
I don't care about anybody else. I'm also not afraid of anybody else. Those 2 are good, and those 2 are.
Alexander, real quick, can you click on who is who was taken with the 4th 10 right before Bucky Irving?
Right before Bucky Irving. Let's take a look at
Rashid Ali?
Let's look at his player card. He had a tough.
Wow. Who would you rather have, this guy or Bucky? It's a real tough one.
Well,
that guy's pretty good. I heard.
The good thing is that Ali is saving himself. He did have a lot of snaps, so his body won't have taken a beating.
That's good. That's looking up for whoever drafted him.
That being said, Bucky did score a fair share more fantasy points than him. But
I mean, just imagine taking Rashid Ali right before Bucky. Don't worry about who had the 2 picks before that.
Imagine taking Dylan Lowby or Jacob Cowan.
None of us have ever missed on a draft. I was the first. I want it on the record. I was the first to ever miss on a draft pick.
In the 4th round.
It was me. In the 4th round, I missed.
Wow, back-to-back years with a 4th round pick.
That's embarrassing for you, Tate.
You've got to feel like a real dummy.
I do. Let me assure you, I do. I would feel worse if I took a receiver in the 2nd round who straight up can't catch. That would make me feel worse.
Which one of those players are you talking about?
Take your pick.
Well, I guess the worst aggressor of that would be Troy Franklin, who isn't allowed on the field.
Oh, that's not even the one. I was honestly in my head. I only saw A.D. Mitchell at the time.
Oh, wow.
But
I thought you were talking about Jalen Polk.
I thought it was Polk.
No, because Polk theoretically could catch if he wasn't so dog shit at everything else.
Yeah.
But I don't know because he's so bad.
You know who turned out to be a real turd burglar is someone who I have in another dynasty league is this Jermaine Burton fella. Turns out he's just an uber clown.
It sucks that there were no warning signs of that either.
Well, yeah. But while we're not too far away from the topic, I just have to let the lament of my bleeding heart just let one more thing onto the page is just the Texans defense is so good. It's so good.
It does look very good.
Oh my god. It's just so much fun to watch. That being said, tough loss. We'll get them next year. Lippy, I'm surprised that you're even entertaining thoughts of the Packers window being closed.
It's just it's a very depressing time. So you're seeing other teams in the Super Bowl, you lose so shit.
Yeah.
When you watch an entire season of just seeing stupid mistakes all year, you can say, "Oh, well, you don't make the stupid mistakes, you're going to win." Well, guess what? We made them all fucking year. So at some point, the stupid mistakes have to stop. It's just,
yeah.
Well, and they paid Love too, which I think makes
I could care less. Do you know what Dak's cap hit is next year, Tate?
Oh, it's astronomical.
Add 30 million because it's 90 million.
It's sad that you're comparing yourself with a team who's not even sniffing the playoffs. That's
Jared Goff's is about to be 80 million. The cap's not real. I'm not going to be worried about the fact that Love's getting an average of 55 a year.
Oh no, I just mean that it's harder to tolerate his play when you're paying him that. But you would want him to look, I think, further along. Maybe is the way to put it.
I feel like LaFleur sacrificed a lot of development this year, or just kind of trust in building in those concepts. Jacobs was so damn good. They just felt like they didn't need to do anything else for 7 straight weeks in the middle of the year there. But the team stops Jacobs for 2 plays. All of a sudden, you got to rely on Love, and there was nothing built there. It felt like
yeah.
The Packers window was closed the second Jordan signed that extension.
Okay.
I mean,
Bill should have beat the Eagles in the first round.
You think, but you just need a few things to go your way. I I guess I'm much more optimistic about the Packers' chances than anyone else here. I don't know how that's possible, but
When
I
we
put
get
them
Max
right where the
Crosby,
picks
when
them
we
in.
get T. Higgins, it'll be nice.
I don't know if my understanding is that Mr. Higgins was going to be staying in the state of Ohio, but
Is T really going to turn down whatever some teams actually want to offer him, like the Chargers or whatever?
I mean, possibly. But, I mean, also, do y'all need another receiver? Don't you have, plenty of them?
Only we did.
well, I mean, but that's kind of my understanding of y'all's situation too. Is you guys had a receiver for every day of the week.
Alexander, we beat the fuck out of the Texans. That's all that matters.
You guys won by a field goal, sir.
I didn't hear anything after you said you guys won.
Should we? I don't want to deviate from dunking on the Packers, but while we have Andy here and semi-coherent, should we give him a chance to take a little small victory lap on Bryce?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, the whole picking him over Jane Daniels thing didn't really make a lot of sense, but
Do not look at someone passing up Jaden Daniels in this draft. It's irrelevant.
I'll
At least
just try
Drake
to
May didn't suck.
block this out on the screen.
What is this draft? What are we looking at?
This is the Fuckfest draft last year. There might possibly have been someone who picked Drake May the pick before Jane Daniels. It's possible.
Is that we don't like that?
I mean, I would still want Jaden.
You have to want Jane Daniels more than Drake May.
Drake May turned out
I think
nicely,
you
but he didn't
do.
turn out like Jaden did.
Wait, what the fuck? What are you talking about? What, Andy? What are you saying? No.
I would take Drake over Jaden
No,
any day of the week.
No,
I'm so glad we got it on the pod.
you're so
I'm
Any day of the
silly.
week.
so glad.
You can't say stuff
Man,
like
this is
that.
such a cute annual tradition we have.
Why do
I'm
you?
telling
So
you,
Did
you
he
guys
did he
keep writing
show up
letters, and
piss on you one
someday
day?
you will
Like,
earn a
what?
scholarship to the Andy Waters School for Kids Who Can't Grind QB Tape Good.
Oh my goodness gracious! This guy was just in the NFC Championship game. What are you talking about?
And he was throwing shoestring balls all night.
Oh my god! Oh,
He's fine. I'm willing to accept that he is good.
but
But
not
he
gooder
is
than Drake May.
I think Drake May has much more arm talent, and I think he's got enough rushing upside to compensate for the difference.
This is this like a bit, or is this?
Yeah, it's a bit. I name a quarterback in the offseason, and you guys have a full 8 months to place as many prop bets as you want, and you don't, and then you stay broke little fucks. And then the
Just
next
to be clear,
offseason, we do the exact same thing again. And so here we are, we're getting an early jump on it. I wish you guys well. But again, the scholarship requirements are very stringent. You have to write the letters yourself. You can't use ChatGPT. Best of luck to you in your application process. I will not oblige you with any references or letters of recommendation.
I've never really had the experience of seeing someone's brain getting further damaged in real time. This it's a real treat.
Andy, would you rather have Jonathan Brooks or Lad McConkey?
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I'll probably go Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
also I won money on a under on Bryce, so I did take the bet against you.
Did you take the bet of Bryce being really good at quarterback?
No.
Good, because you would have lost that one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it is fun to see him doing good things because people are not being nice to him. So it's good to see him having a recovery. Good for him, and good
Is it
for.
really a recovery? Is it really a recovery?
I mean, kind
Yes.
of. I mean, it's
There are
definite.
certain
It's
people who've been on this pod saying that he is who we thought he was. I'm just pointing it out that, just because, some people have their heads in the sand doesn't mean it's a comeback or recovery.
well, he's definitely recovered from where he was at this point last January going into February. I mean,
I think
there were.
he was showing stuff at the end of last year. I think he's, oh boy,
I don't know. I think you have a strange brain, is what I think, and sometimes that's good. To associate with strange brained individuals. But you're saying that he looked better in terms of evaluation and perception last January versus now?
no, no, I'm just saying that he has not strayed from what made him an enticing prospect at any point throughout his evaluation. Did he have did he have crazy feet? Did he get spooked by pressure after getting sacked, what was it, 600 times his rookie year? Yes, he did. But was he still making throws with anticipation all throughout his rookie year? Yes, he was. And those throws were there for people who were looking for him. Was he was he the same guy he is right now in December, January of 2023, 2024? No, he's progressed. But if you go back and you listen to the Kern rant on that pod, I laid out the reasons why he was not a bust, why he still had juice, why he was the number one overall pick. And it boggles the mind that people will just completely just get swept away in the statistics and the nonsense and everything else, and they'll refuse to accept that context has a factor, and just declare a guy after 3 months on the job for the first time to be bad or to be good. And Alexander, you're going to see a lot of this over the next 8 months because people are about to dump Stroud stomp en
I
masse,
mean,
and
that's a foolish decision. A foolish.
you are gonna be banging this same drum, and you're gonna be like, wait, hang on, we've seen him do stuff. He was then subjected to some of the worst play calling you could possibly imagine behind a line that was, what, four gym teachers and Laramie Tunsil
Yeah, it was a bunch of
with
criminals. A bunch of
a
criminals.
rotating cast of felons at wide receiver, right? I mean, just
One of which assassinated Tank Dell in the middle of a comeback against the Chiefs.
exactly. So anyway, I don't know. There's a whole lot of talk about players' values surging and dipping, and progression and regression and blah blah blah. It's like, well, I mean, kind of are who they are, and then there's context. And sometimes the context is really, really good, and sometimes it's really, really bad, like Bryce's first year, like Stroud's second year. I just would be wary of being like, well, he's a completely different guy. It's like, no, he's just like, he has a little bit more time because Canales isn't having his receivers run the same freaking routes, and he's actually getting an opportunity to progress through reads and make difficult throws, which he didn't have the opportunity to do his rookie year, in large part due to Tepper firing his coach, 5 games into the season, and then, yeah, just horrible, horrible organization, and I'm happy that he's succeeding despite of it. But all bottom line, same guy, same guy.
Now, let me ask you a quick question. If you could have Bryce Young or Jaden Daniels, which would you have?
Like to start a franchise or in
No.
fantasy?
I'll have your answer for both.
Well, I would take Jaden to start a team in real life because he's got one more year in his rookie contract, and that should kind of give you an idea of where I'm at on him on in fantasy.
Let's
They're
say
pretty much a toss up.
let's say the contracts. Let's say the years and contracts are even.
So we're not
We're
okay.
we're playing make believe.
Um,
I just want to take that restriction away because obviously that's a big deal.
will it be leaked to the public at that my first act as this new GM role of this expansion franchise was a choice between
No.
Jaden Daniels and Bryce
The
Young?
fans won't know.
Okay, the fans won't know. They're just going to wake up
Until
with
you're dead,
one or
then
the
there will
other.
be a 30
Yeah,
for 30 on it.
yeah, they'll know when you
Oh,
die.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want after I'm dead.
Okay.
No qualms on that front.
Nice.
So I would. It hurts. It hurts. I might say Jaden.
Wow.
And I'm not trying to stick it to you. I just wanted to kind of find the line in the sand there. And I'm not trying to hate on Bryce. It's not what I'm trying to do. I just was kind of curious to see where you were on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jaden's real. I just my concern with Jaden remains number one. How is he going? How is he going to continue to survive regular seasons? Because he likes to take hits. He likes to hold on to the ball. He's an improviser. He doesn't always have that clock in his head like he should. And that's not even touching on the issue of the hits that he does take being cartoonishly violent. I'm just worried about his durability. But in terms of like what he's shown on the field, yeah, he's earned the right to be taken over Bryce. Now, do I think that it's as wide a gulf as most people would have you believe? No, I don't, because Bryce was throwing to freaking Xavier Leggett, who I am not convinced knows how to catch a football at all.
I think he's so fun, and I'm so quickly becoming so out on him.
Yep.
Yeah.
But like Jaden's also thrown to like Zach Ertz's reanimated corpse, so like you can't.
And Zacchaeus. I mean, he's got McLaurin, but yeah.
Right. I mean, he's got some stuff, but he also had a pretty good line this year. I just, it's context, right? Like, what happens when they don't have a great line and he's forced to hold on to the ball a little bit too long in a few too many situations and takes one too many cartoonish hits? Like, I could see him. I hate to invoke the last commies rookie sensation dual threat quarterback, but
that's not very nice. That our massive Washington viewer base is going to be very displeased if you do.
I'm prepared to risk the wrath of that one 12-year-old child. And go ahead and say he I'm not comparing him to RG3 at all. He's a much smarter player than RG3, but the durability concerns are there. And Bryce, like, of course, being slight in stature, has similar durability concerns. But again, the man took like 8 million hits his rookie year and just kept getting up. So I'm a little bit more strangely, I am more confident in Bryce Young being able to survive a full NFL season behind a bad line because he's done it. And that question remains open for Jaden. But at this point, I'll take Jaden.
Interesting. Very interesting. I'm having fun looking at these old rookie drafts and Fuckfest and just kind of going back and seeing how they went. I was about to give myself a really big pat on the back for taking Olave ahead of Burks when Kern flamed me relentlessly for it. And then I realized that we both took Olave and Burks ahead of Garrett Wilson. Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson at the 3-2 was a great pick by me. Let's see here. What are some other... Kyron by Seabus in the 4-8. My God. All these old rookie drafts are so fun. So there's I do very little college football watching. I really don't tune into anything until like it's bowl season. Like I don't know the last time I watched like a full regular season college football game. Um, everything that I read and then everything that everybody says is that this draft class is just going to be super boring and ass. Do you guys have any other take than that, or do you have kind of just that same sentiment to back up?
I think it's a stronger class in the middle. Like, I don't think the guys at the top are going to be as good as the guys at the top of the past few drafts.
Okay.
But I think there are more contributors like in the middle rounds, or like I think it's a more robust class overall. Like especially like running backs and things like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like the top. There's obviously a tier there, but like I think there's contributors all throughout. Especially like I mean, receivers. We've seen rookie receivers are able to come in and contribute and everything. And there's some nice receivers in this class that aren't. They're not going to like blow people away, but like they're solid players.
Well, certainly excited about that. I I'm curious. So we were we have this constant conversation in Apex about making a super flex, and I tell Kern to fuck himself because I don't like super flex for redraft. For we don't have to get into it because you will be here all night as I talk about how much I hate Kern and hate the idea. But let me ask you guys a question, just kind of about quarterbacks in general. I think this was like the lowest. I'm not sure what the stat was. Lippy was sharing it earlier. It's like the like one of the lowest like receiving touchdown years for wide receivers in since like 2011. It's like one of the lowest, and lots of just like doom and gloom about passing. I'm wondering if you guys have any thoughts about that in general, and like if that will kind of pendulum swing, or what's causing that. I'm just curious about y'all's thoughts and how it's affecting it, because like we were talking about, there's certainly going to be an uptick in running backs pick and redraft next year. And I just wanted to know what y'all think about that.
Wait, what's the question?
Well, it's not really a question, I guess. So that's my fault. I guess I'm curious as to what you guys think about like what's happening to passing offenses and offenses in general that's leading to this very mucky, yucky passing game that is frankly a lot of times ugly to watch, and if it's trending or if it will be like coming to an end soon.
I mean, I don't know at all, but what I've gleaned from reading people who do watch the games is that it's just a lot of too high coverage. But is is I could be super wrong about that. Um, I don't know. I have no idea. I barely. I grind the QB tape. I'm not worried about those. I'm not worried about those running plays. I'm not worried about those rushing offenses. I'm you know where I'm at. I'm in the school. I'm
We,
teaching the kids,
we,
the underprivileged kids
we know
on their
where you're at.
scholarships.
Yeah, at
It's
the
such a niche school that you're involved in that you don't look at any of the factors affecting the quarterbacks. It's purely just quarterbacks throwing balls. That's
the
it.
camera's just
Yeah,
trained on the quarterback. It doesn't
Yeah,
follow the ball. It just
yeah.
looks
It's
at
the
the
most
quarterback.
unhelpful film you've ever seen. Is what Andy's
Oh,
grinding.
well, I mean, if you start looking at the ends, then you start ignoring the process, and it's all
And that's
you
what they
guys know
say.
me. I'm
The
all about
ends don't
process.
justify the means. That's I've heard that before. That must
Yeah,
be
exactly.
that's probably written on the walls of your school. Um,
Well, no, those kids can't write. They just grind film.
they
So
just watch
nothing's
quarterback
written on the
film.
walls.
Yeah, there's just pictures of quarterbacks.
They're good looking quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, I mean, pretty privilege is big in the NFL. So
Oh yeah, if Andy was a Titans fan, he'd be getting excited right now for a shiny new quarterback that he's probably going to have.
I mean, it might be a real prime quarterback. Is what it might be. Uh,
A real who quarterback?
a real prime quarterback. Wink, wink. Uh, that's so.
Would that do it, Andy? Would that end the Titans fanship if you took Shadur?
If we took Shador, I don't know if I'd ever admit to having been a Titans fan.
I mean, so I'm just telling you what I saw, and what I saw is, of course, painted through people that hate the Titans. Is that's why y'all fired the GM? Is because Amy wants to take the Prime family in, and the GM said no, and so they fired him. I don't know if that's
Wait, say
true.
what?
That's what I heard. And this was on Houston Sports Radio, which is terribly biased and for the most part very unhelpful. Um, was that Amy Adams wants to bring in Shadur and get Coach Prime involved with the team, and y'all's GM didn't want to do that, and so they fired him.
It's an interesting story.
And that might be what it is, just a story, but it's interesting. It's very.
That would be incredible.
I'd be a little bit confused about what Dion's role would be, considering we didn't fire the coach.
No, I know. I mean, he could be like a team morale guy, almost like y'all's own.
Like a mascot?
Like
He'd be like a mascot?
he could be like y'all's own Easterby, is what he could be.
Oh, God.
I love an Easter Bay. Everybody needs an Easter Bay, is
Oh,
what I always say.
it makes it kind of like you said. It's a neat story to have an Easterby. Oh man. So very very peculiar, and I think it's a little tough going into because I mean that seat hasn't been filled, has it? And I think it's kind of tough going into February without a general manager. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not a general manager, and I don't work in the front office, so I don't know these things. But that's just my take on it. But what do I know?
Wait, they not hired a GM yet?
I didn't.
Wait, the Titans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hired a GM like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, we hired the Chiefs guy.
That's right.
Heard of him?
The Chiefs guy?
Apparently,
No, the Chiefs. Andy. Have you heard of the Chiefs? Is my question.
No, I've heard of Referees Incorporated. That's who I know a lot about. I know a lot about those guys.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I know a lot about reffing the passer.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know a lot about him. That guy can fuck himself. Let's see here. Damn, Trey Lance at the 1-2. Did he play some games at the end of the year?
I'm honestly not sure they did.
Oh no,
he didn't.
He just came in to kneel the ball or something. No, he threw a pass for 1 yard. Okay, that's pretty good. But did he have
so terrible?
He had 100% completion in that game. He also rushed for 1 yard. Wow, that's a pretty good performance. 2 yards.
Did we lose Lippy?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Oh, good.
He's gone. Now let me ask you all this, because I think our next pod will be post Super Bowl. Do you guys have any takes about players, teams, people? Any type of anything you want to get out before we conclude this pod?
Not really.
Not really? Okay.
Really? What do you think, Tate?
The Saints are going to hire Mike McCarthy. That's all I've got.
what would your excitement level on that be? If 1 is I'm really not excited, please tell me it's not real, and 10 is we're going to the Super Bowl, baby.
I mean, I'm not a Saints fan, so like my excitement level for what they do is always at like a 1 or 2.
Yeah,
But people I care about are Saints fans,
yeah.
and I think they should be at like a, I don't know, like a 6 or so. Like he's their best option out there now. Like I don't think there's a better option. Kellen Moore, like good luck. I wouldn't. He might be fine. I just I would take someone who knows what they're doing because previously their coaches like Dennis Allen did not know what he was doing.
Yeah,
So
he was awful.
yeah, that's the move I would make. That's the move I think they will make. Um, but they're not going back to the Super Bowl until Mickey Loomis gets a promotion in title only that takes him out of football decision making, and they get an actual general manager who knows what he's doing.
We were talking to Curran yesterday, and he said that we can all fuck our own asses, and the Loomis has a great plan, and that we need to shut the fuck up. So that's a much
Do you
different.
really?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
What was the current approach?
Kurt
Theory.
Kurt said that Mickey always has a great plan, and that we are all stupid and don't understand, and that we're dumb haters. So that's what Curran told us, and I mean that seems pretty smart to me. And by golly, I think that it's a great plan to just say nothing's wrong, everything's going to be fine in Saintstown. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's good.
yeah.
Was Briard involved? I'd be curious to hear Briard's thoughts.
Oh, I mean that. You see, that's a man of intelligence and learned wisdom. So obviously he wasn't involved in that conversation. Uh,
Yeah.
that was a
Right.
conversation between Lippy, Jack, Kern, and myself, and we were asking Kern what he thought about the Saints' future and what's kind of on the forecast for them. And we made some remarks, not all of them kind, and I don't believe he received them very well. And well, these things happen. So, but what can you do? But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, hey, life as a Saints fan seems difficult right now. But according to Kern, it's not the GM's fault.
It is though. Well, it's not because the GM is just continuing to ride the coattails of an owner doesn't care enough to get him out of there. So, like at this point, yeah, you can't fault the GM. He is what he is. It's the owner doesn't care enough or doesn't know enough to get him out of there.
It's like a dog who's not potty trained. It's not really the dog's fault. Interesting.
Yeah, exactly like that. Except in this case, a dog is somebody getting a multi-million-dollar paycheck.
Right. Wow, can you imagine? My dog wouldn't know. He wouldn't know what to do with that. I mean, he'd probably be very disinterested. But obviously, Loomis is not an actual dog. Uh, but
But I've never talked to him, so I don't really know.
wow, wouldn't that be
You did
crazy?
name your dog after him.
Wouldn't that be
I did
wild?
no such thing, and how dare you suggest that?
Just a quick question. What's your dog's name?
Which one?
If you have to ask.
It's the one named Mickey Loomis.
It's just Mickey. Just
It's
to
it's
be
a great
clear.
it's a great dog name. It's a very good dog name. But gentlemen, I think that'll do it for today, and we will reconvene the podcast hour post Super Bowl when Saquon has rightfully put all of those who criticized the decision for him not to get the record to rest by him claiming his Super Bowl victory. Um,
Here's hoping.
until that
Oh,
time,
yeah, wait, I'll go on the record. Eagles win.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Eagles win too. Slash,
Yeah.
I really just fucking hope they do. But that'll do it for us.